Hello everyone, Michael O'Brien here, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of originality in magic. Hello my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Advice for Magicians, where my goal is to help make you guys be the best possible entertainers that you can be. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the importance of having an original presentation when it comes to being a performer, right? Before we jump into all that, I got a little story time for you guys and everything. But first, just a couple of announcements. If you have not already done so, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the bell. That way you know every time I upload a new video, right? Also, if you'd like to become a member and support the channel for just $1 a month, all you have to do is just click the join button, right? And members get access to a bunch of really cool stuff, including full magic tutorials, early access to all of these videos, emojis, badges, and even discounts in the O'Brien Magic Shop. If you'd like some more information on the perks, just go ahead and click the membership tab here and you guys can check out some of the perks and all the awesome stuff that comes with them. You'll also get shout outs, much like these people did. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome some of my newest Mob Squad members. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the people's names that I'm going to butcher the crap out of, right? So bear with me. Is it Siwypn1? I don't know how to say that. I am so sorry. Siwypn1. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Noodles, that one I'm able to say. And Bear Magic 2002. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for becoming members and helping to support the channel. It is because of you. It is because of my subscribers, and it is because of people watching these videos that I'm able to keep this channel going. So thank you guys so much for doing your part and for playing along and making all of this just such a wonderful experience. You're all rock stars. All right, so let's talk about the importance of originality in magic. So story time. I got two stories for you. I guess you can call these both wake-up calls or slaps across the face for me that I was like, okay, I need to stop doing other people's material. For a few different reasons. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to tell a couple stories, and then I want to talk about hack lines. We'll get to that at the end. I am notorious for doing hack lines because my presentation is very dad joke, Jungle Cruise skipper orientated, right? So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, story time. So I was coming up with the Chicago closer, right? For those of you who don't know, this is my routine where it's kind of like the Chicago opener, Red Hot Mama, but it does a full color changing deck. All the cards end up being blank at the end, blah, 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 right? So I saw Helder Gimerez in his FISM act using a wine glass, and he did like a whole presentation where he had a card folded and put it underneath the wine glass. And then at the very end, he turned the wine glass over, unfolded the card, stuck it in the wine glass, and spreaded the cards around it. And I really loved that display. I thought that looked really cool. You walk in front of the table and you kind of gesture to it, and then that signals an applause, and then there's your applause cue right there, right? You take your bow, and that's like your closer. And I was like, oh, I got to do that. That's so cool, right? So I was sitting down with Helder at the Magic Castle, and we were sessioning on some things, and I was like, okay, so I'm coming up with this Chicago closer idea, and I kind of explained to him what it was. And I said what I wanted to do was... I do the color changing deck, and then all the cards are now blue except for the one red card, right? The one that they chose. And I took it and I revealed it, and it's the one that they thought of, and yay, that's cool. And then I folded it up into quarters and I stuck it down and I covered it with the wine glass, set it down in the center of the routine, or excuse me, in the center of the table. Do the rest of the routine. I'm not able to find the red card the second time because it's underneath the glass. I lifted up the glass, unfold it, set it inside the glass. Now it's the second selection. Snap my fingers and spread all the cards around the glass, and now they're all blank. So the only card there is the one card that they chose that's inside of the wine glass, and all the cards that spread around it are all blank now. And I take a step over and I point to it and I take a bow, and what an amazing ending to my act. And Helder literally says, "So you're just gonna do my closer?" I was like, what do you mean I'm going to do your closer? Like, you don't do the Chicago closer. He's like, no, but I do something similar enough to it. And he said, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, Michael. I'm not telling you not to do my act because I'm jealous, and I don't want you copying my act and doing it. He said, I don't want you doing my act because you don't use like the wine glass and anything else in your performance. You know, your whole character is not really based around that. For me, the reason I use the wine glass is because that is something that's special to me. My father, you know, had me, you know, when I was like working out this stuff, my father suggested I do the wine glass like before he passed away, like all this stuff, right? So I was just like, oh man, okay. Yeah, I was like, respectfully, I won't do the wine glass thing then. So now it was back to the drawing board for me. And so I was like, okay, so what can I do, right? So I just came up with, it's simple. You just place the card in the middle of the table and you get that nice spread with all of the blank cards except for the one printed card in the middle. And you still get that same moment, and it's the same thing, and it just eliminated the wine glass, and then you had to fold the card and do all that stuff, right? Which is fine. The routine is just as powerful without the wine glass, in my opinion. But it wasn't out of place. I wasn't trying to force the wine glass in. And the only reason that I wanted to do the wine glass thing was because I saw Helder do the wine glass thing, and it was really cool when he did it, so I wanted to do it, right? But what I didn't take into consideration was, why is he doing the wine glass thing, right? Is there a specific reason? Like when David Stone uses a wine glass, that's totally fine. I don't think Helder Gimeris has a problem with David Stone using a wine glass, because David Stone is French and he does a whole vineyard thing where he's like producing like a bottle of wine and you know, all this stuff. So like it makes sense when David Stone uses a wine glass in his act to perform. I don't think Helder has a problem with that. He was telling me, he's like, but it doesn't fit your character, so you need to come up with something that's more you, right? Like if I was to do the same thing with a shot glass and I produced like a bottle of Jameson at the beginning, and like I did this whole like whiskey themed thing, and at the very end I did the card routine and I stuck it in the whiskey glass, I don't think he'd have a problem with that, because it suits my character, and you know, it's just different enough, right? So that was story number one. Story number two, I was doing the Strolling Magic Showdown, which is essentially the Olympics of Strolling Magic held at the world famous Magic Castle. It's a competition in which magician members literally do walk around magic to like 30 different tables, and you have to hit every single table, and there's judges at the tables who vote on who they thought the first, second, and third place people should be. All of those numbers are tallied up, and at the very end, the winners are announced, and then that person wins the showdown, and they get their name put on the trophy, which is downstairs in the near the library down at the Magic Castle. If you guys get to visit the Magic Castle at any point, you should go check that out. It's a fun little hidden nugget. You can see the little trophy there, and it's got everyone's names on it. Some big names, people that you probably, like back when they won it, they weren't really like as big of names as they are now, and now they're like some of like household known names, right? My name is on the trophy, so you should go check that out. I know I'm not a household name yet, but hopefully someday I'm getting there, right? So, yeah, so I was doing that Strolling Magic Showdown, and as my opener, because I was performing the Bar Blade routine. For those of you not familiar, the Bar Blade is like a flat bottle opener that you would see at a bar. And I do Tom Brooks' Bar Blade routine with the linking rings, where I link them through, and I do all kinds of cool stuff with the linking rings and the Bar Blade. And then, you know, I do like Ninja Plus by Matthew Garrett, and you guys know I talk about this a lot on my channel. So I did that thing, right? But I wanted to introduce the Bar Blade, right? I didn't want to just come out with, oh, this is a bottle opener, and then do the act, right? So what I decided to do was to do Johnny Ace Palmer's opener production, where he produces the opener and he produces a bottle of Coca-Cola. So I did that exact same thing, only instead of a bottle of Coca-Cola, I produced a bottle of Guinness. And the way that the opener, I think it's called the opener, I think is what he named it. The way that it goes is you take out a handkerchief, you show it all around, and he says, I want to show you guys my opener. Right? There it is. You get it? It's an opener, because it's a bottle opener. And he goes, but what good is an opener? Ding, 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 without something to open. And he produces the bottle of Coca-Cola from behind the handkerchief. And he goes, I know, it's a classic. And he does that little bit, right? And then he goes on to do his act. And in my head, I'm like, that makes perfect sense to do that opener for my act, right? So I did that opener. And I didn't top at all. I didn't come in first, second, or third place at that strolling thing. And then about a week later, I'm checking my emails, and Johnny Ace Palmer is in my inbox. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, but okay, let me go ahead and take a look, right? So I open up my email, and Johnny Ace Palmer is in my inbox, basically going, hey, so I heard that you performed like my opener during the Strolling Magic Showdown, and that's like the thing that I do whenever I'm at the castle. can you do me a favor and please not do that, right? And I was kind of asking him, I was like, well, I mean, you didn't, like I said this in a very polite way, but I was basically saying, like, you know, with all due respect, you didn't create the idea of producing an object and then producing a bottle, right? Like, you just happen to be producing an opener and I happen to be producing an opener. And he's like, but that's not the thing. It's like, the fact is that you did it beat for beat the way that I do it. You produced the opener from the handkerchief. You said, this is my opener. Get it? Opener. You did my joke. Ding, ding, ding. And then you produced the bottle. Albeit you produced a bottle of beer and not a bottle of Coca-Cola, it's essentially the same thing, right? He's like, and again, he had kind of the same talk with me that Helder did. So this is kind of slap in the face number 2 for me to kind of wake up, right? And he said, it's not so much that I don't want you copying me. I mean, it's partly that, because that's like what I'm known for. That's literally the first thing I do in my show, right? Is the opener bit. And he's like, it's not so much that. It's more that, like, you know, you just copied everything move for move and like almost like word for word, and you just substituted the bottle of beer for it, right? He's like, I would like to see you come up with something that's a little bit more you, that's a little bit more unique to you, right? So what I ended up coming up with, and I ended up sharing it with him, and he was like, okay, yeah, that's better. I have no problem with you doing that. Was, you know, I'm Irish, and I do the whole Irish newsboy thing. So I said, you know, I want to try something, right? So I have a glass of my favorite drink, Guinness, right? And I kill the glass, and I go, you know, it's kind of sad, you know, that it's gone, right? Like, it's a bittersweet because I love it because it tastes good, but it's sad because, like, it's gone, right? So I set the glass down and I say, all you need is 2 things. Number 1, you need a hat, and I show the inside of the hat. And number 2, you need one of these. And I reach in and I pull out the bottle opener, right? And I say, this is, you know what this is? This is an opener, right? Ding, ding, ding. For opening beer. Ding, ding, ding. I produce the bottle out of the hat. I do my little bar blade thing. I crack open the bottle. I pour the drink. Cheers. And I take a drink, right? So the routine at its core is the same thing as Johnny's, where, you know, I'm producing a bottle opener and then I'm producing a bottle. But it's different because it's like my own personal spin on it, right? I'm using it to refill the drink. I'm having the Irish stuff involved. I'm producing it from my hat. I'm using a little bit of a different method than the one he does. I'm not using any of his lines. I'm using my own lines, right? In fact, the newest line that I've started using is, as you can tell by my name and my hat, the way I'm dressed, all that stuff, I'm a stout Irish lad. In fact, speaking of stout, I'm going to need one of these. And then I produce the beer because it's a stout, right? Again, this is a stout beer. So I can still do some of the cheeky, like, little fun dad joke lines, right? But if I do them in a different way and I do a different presentation, it's a lot better, right? And I showed him this and he was like, yeah, I have no problem with that because it's more you. It's not copying me. I mean, yeah, you're still doing the bottle opener and you're still producing a bottle. That is what that is, but at least it's different. You're not just copying move for move and word for word my bottle production, right? With my opener jokes and stuff. So those were 2 moments in my career that really told me, like, you know, I need to start coming up with my own presentations for things. Now, you don't have to come up with your own methods necessarily. I mean, I like to come up with my own methods when I need to. Like, if a method that I'm using doesn't suit me too well, I like to come up with some of my own methods when, you know, the situation calls for it. But even if you're just doing your own, you know, little thing, like, perfect example is the 8-card brainwave, right? You can do the 8-card brainwave the way that you learned it. What I decided to do was take the Among Us game. For those of you who don't know, it's like the little murder mystery game where you have like these little crew members running around trying to complete these tasks, and then you have like one imposter crew member who goes around trying to kill everybody and sabotage everything, right? And the whole point of the game is to try to figure out who is the imposter and eject them from the situation. And if you do that, you win. And then if the imposter is able to successfully sabotage and kill everybody, then the imposter wins. So it's really a game of, like, you know, who done it. But the thing is that you can accidentally decide that a crew member, an innocent crew member, is the imposter and eject them, in which case you're just helping the imposter get closer to their goal of winning the game. So it's a really fun little game. You play it on your phone. If you guys haven't checked it out and it sounds interesting to you, I recommend that you check it out. It's pretty cute, pretty fun little game. But I came up with this Among Us game using the 8-card brainwave plot. And instead of having blue cards and red cards on the back, you have like the crew member and the imposter cards on the back. So the way that it goes is, you know, look at all the different crew members. They're all different colors, right? Which one do you think is looking sus? Meaning like suspect or suspicious, right? Which one is looking suspicious to you? They point to the one, you isolate it from the rest of the cards. You show all the cards are crew members, and the one that they chose is the only imposter among them, meaning that they got it correct. So you can take plots that you already know in Magic and you can retheme them and redress them. Now, I have on this channel a thought experiment, right? A creative thought experiment to kind of get your creative juices flowing, so you guys can kind of come up with your own original ideas. I recommend checking that out. I'll leave a link to the description below to that video, so you guys can go check that out. So you guys can come up with some creative ideas for presentations, for tricks that you're already performing, and maybe come up with some new original ideas and stuff. Now, last thing that I want to talk about is hack lines. What is a hack line? It's essentially a line that like every magician uses and every magician copies because they heard another magician do it and they thought it was funny. I'm guilty of doing some of those myself. For example, when I'm doing the linking rings, I hand like my wedding ring out and I have them examine it, and I say, you know, you see any holes in the ring at all? And they go, no. And I go, besides this one, right? And they go, oh, yeah, okay. Or I'll say, you know, are there any gaps in the ring? Any soft spots at all? Do you notice any soft spots? They say no. And I go, okay, I'll tell you, there is one soft spot. And it's right here. And everyone goes, oh, either because they thought it was cute or out of pity. I don't know. I tend to do a few of those. If you're doing one or two of those little things and your personality is very sarcastic and you do like the dad jokes, right? I was a Jungle Cruise skipper. For those of you who don't know, the Jungle Cruise is a ride at the Disneyland park here in Anaheim, California, where you get in this boat and the Jungle Cruise captain takes you around the rivers, and it's just stuff like that, like you know, just a bunch of different jokes, like oh, if you take a look over here on our right, that's our first sign of danger in the jungle, and you look and it's literally a big sign that says danger, right? Or oh, over there, that's a Bengal tiger. They're known to leap over 25 feet, right? But don't worry, we're only 20 feet away, so he's gonna jump. Since he jumps over 25 feet, he's going to go over the boat and land clear in the bushes on either side. We have nothing to worry about. So like those kind of dad joke kind of things, right? And so I roll and bake some of those kind of dad jokes into my act. So like when I'm performing, I'll say, is it anyone's first time seeing a magician today? Anyone's first time? Some people raise their hand. Is it anyone's last time? Okay, we'll see how good the magic show is, I guess. And then we kind of, you know, like little jokes like that. I don't think there's a problem with doing these hack lines as long as they are few and far in between. Every single line of dialogue shouldn't be one of these hack lines. And also, it should only be to the detriment of your character, right? It should never infringe on other people. So, for example, we shouldn't be doing these hack lines that make people feel stupid. Or like one that I can think of that I see a lot of magicians do is, all right, do me a favor, go ahead and hold out your hand, please. And they go, oh, no, sorry, the clean one. And then they hold out the other hand and they go, oh, never mind, I guess that was the clean one, right? Like jokes like that where you're kind of making fun of the spectators, I would avoid those, because all it's going to do is create a you versus them kind of situation, when in reality what you want is to reel them in and have them be on your team. That's going to prevent hecklers. It's going to prevent people from messing up your act. And it's going to have people just kind of relax and have a lot more fun. One thing that I hear often, especially from female friends of mine, is I don't want to volunteer in magic shows because the magician's going to like make fun of me, or they're going to make me feel stupid, or they're going to make sexist jokes or whatever. It's best to just avoid all of that stuff. If you're going to do the cheesy hack lines, do the ones that make you the butt of the joke or are just lighthearted and silly, like the soft spot in my heart joke, or like whatever jokes like that, right? So I would avoid hack lines to an extent. If you are going to use them, like I said, use them sparingly. Not every single line of dialogue should be a hack line, because now we're getting away from the whole premise of this video, which is the originality aspect of it. So I'll put it to you this way. I went to the Magic Castle one time, and I went to the close-up gallery, and I saw the close-up gallery, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and it was so much fun, right? And then I went to the Parlor of Prestidigitation, and I watched it, and the tricks were different, but the presentation was almost the same because they used like all the same jokes. And then it went to the Palace of Mystery, the big stage show, and the magician did the same jokes that the person in the close-up gallery and the person in the parlor did. So it's like you're watching the same act 3 different times, even though none of the tricks had anything to do with each other. The tricks were all completely different, but I felt like I was watching the same show 3 different times because they were using all of the same jokes. So that's why we call them hack lines, right? Like lines that only hacks would use. Like someone that isn't clever or creative enough to come up with their own thing, they use these lines that other people are using, right? So that's why I recommend to use the least amount of hack lines possible and to try to come up with some original things. Come up with your own original little dad jokes or whatever. It could be a spin on a hack line that you've heard before, right? As long as you're not doing like the same word for word, beat for beat things that you've heard other people do, and you do, like I said, few and far in between, you're not doing like a whole bunch of them, you should be good. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know my videos this week have been a little long-winded, but I have a lot to share with you guys. So for today's thought of the day is, what is something that you notice that you do that might need a little bit of improvement when it comes to originality, whether it be using hack lines or copying another performer's act word for word. When I first started doing some of Shutagawa's and David Stone's material, it got so bad to the point where I was literally speaking in the same cadences that they would. Like I would be performing a Shutagawa routine and I'd be like, can you hold out your hand for me? Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and do this now. And it's like, I don't talk like that. Why am I speaking like that when I'm doing like Shutagawa's material? Because that's how he speaks. I didn't do the accent, obviously, like that would be pretty bad, but just like even speaking the same cadence, right? So I want you guys to focus on some of those things that you do, some things that you might catch yourself doing, and what can we do to improve upon them and maybe even eliminate them completely from our act. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, make sure to click the subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell. That way you'll know every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to check out some more magic, visit us at obrianmagic.com and be sure to check out our online magic shop where you will find the latest and greatest magic books, downloads, and accessories.